How is it going, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with Friday Questions and Answers, episode 49. Almost have 50 episodes of Friday Questions and Answers. That'll come next Friday, so big landmark in the series, I guess you can say. So, if you want to be in the landmark episode of Friday Questions and Answers, leave a question in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer it for next week's episode. As always, can be anything sports related, my life related, anything you want to ask, I will answer next Friday. And so I want to shoot to you guys, I guess, across you guys. I'm thinking about doing a new type of series. I just want to know if any of you guys would be interested. I would call it, what am I going to call it? Progress with me. Chest. I'm thinking about doing not a bodybuilding episode, but a muscle building series on here. As you all know, well, most of you know if you've been following me for a while, I started lifting weights around April of last year. I was so skinny. I've been skinny my whole entire life. In a span of like 4 months, I gained 40 pounds of muscle, and trying to keep it going. And I have all equipment here to work out chest at my house. And I was wondering if you guys wanted me to do like a weekly series where I kind of showed you my workouts, my progress, how I change from week to week, and hopefully show you guys my story as I progress from what I'm at now to bigger. So if you would like that, I mean, obviously I'll be working out other days, so it's not just, I'll be showing you my chest workout if I did it, and but everything else will be building as well, because I work out. Thursday is the day I would do that, and that's the only day I work out at home. Other days I work out at a recreational center at my college. It's a fine center, one of the best in the southeast, and that's why I work out there more often. But I would do that if you guys want to see that, if you're interested in that. I have a very nice camera that I can use for that. I'd have to set it up and figure out the lighting and stuff, but if you'd like to see that, let me know. Shouldn't be too hard to make, so I should come at you with that every single week if I do that. So let me know if you'd be interested in that. So that was a long start to the video, so let's get started. Keep saying Pack Up on Fridays. Friday, that was the last episode of Pack Up on Fridays was actually today. Maybe that's why I'm saying it. But Friday Questions and Answers, this is the last episode today. So let's get into it. DJ Hayes says, would you still say Auburn and Georgia in the SEC championship for next year if you knew that they play each other annually and whoever loses might get jumped by another division rival? Yeah, I mean, I knew that. I mean, it's the oldest rivalry in the South. So, yeah, I know that. They play each other every year, and I wouldn't predict any team right now to go undefeated in the SEC, so one loss isn't going to make a break for any team. So that's why, I mean, even knowing that, that's why I said that. Oh, my back hurts. Okay. Ex-Auburn asked, if an SEC team wins the Heisman, who do you think would be? Nick Marshall, Derrick Henry, which is his dark horse, Dorial Green Beckham, or someone else? If somebody from the SEC was to win the Heisman, this is really tough, actually. If I had to pick somebody to win the Heisman, it would probably be very, very difficult. I'd probably have to say Todd Gurley from Georgia. Because right now, out of all the teams that are, lost so many players, if there's one player to potentially lead his team to a game of significance, whether it be the SEC championship game, national championship, the guy that can put a team on his back is Todd Gurley. So if there's any player in the SEC with potential to do that, it would be Todd Gurley. So if I'd put my money on anybody in the SEC, that's who I'd say. Todd Gurley from Georgia. Ex-Auburn. Ask again, who does Rashaan Evans sign with, Alabama or Auburn? Man, it's going to be tough. Really tough. The guy's an absolutely amazing linebacker. He's not mistaken. He's from Auburn High School, so obviously there's a little edge there. But we all know Reuben Foster came from Auburn High School, went to Alabama after he got the Auburn tattoo. But from what I hear, it's really 50-50. Auburn, many people, even on the Alabama side, think he's going to go to Auburn. So that's going to be tough. But some Auburn people think he's going to go to Alabama. So it's really flip-flop. But another thing is, Like half him and all of his buddies are visiting UCLA on the same day, and they all get UCLA gets all of their last visits. So, and always a last visit before signing day ends up being pretty huge because I mean that's the last impression that they get. So UCLA is a dark horse, and I know a lot of people wouldn't take that seriously, but it is pretty serious. I think UCLA is a dark horse. Does he end up at UCLA? I don't think so, but I don't think he's any type of just he's just visiting them for the experience type situation. They're bringing everybody there 1 week, the last week before signing day, so they could be a dark horse. But I want him in Alabama. It's a good possibility, but my gut's saying Auburn right now. But I'd love to have him in Alabama. He's a great linebacker. He shot up from like 40th in the country to like 13th in the country overall. 5-star linebacker now. DJ Hayes says, what happened to Vince Young? Biggest bust of all time? I wouldn't say that. I don't know. I'm sure there's bigger busts. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think. But there's got to be bigger busts than Vince Young because he had some nice seasons with the Titans. He's the reason I became a Titans fan. I mean, I like the Titans for him, but he was the reason I became a diehard Titans fan because he was one of my favorite college athletes coming out and going to the NFL. So I don't think I might have a little bias in this answer, but I don't think he was a bust. Obviously, I mean, 3rd overall pick in the draft, supposed to be a franchise quarterback, but he had a couple of nice seasons. He led the Titans to solid seasons. I'm not sure if he made the playoffs. He was there the year Kerry Collins started, and I think they kind of split time, if I'm not mistaken. That's the last time they made the playoffs, actually. But he had some solid games, some solid years. He had differences with Jeff Fisher, and that's when they ended up both parting ways, and that's really when he fell off in his career. Couldn't find another team to start for, and it all went downhill from there. He tried to make a comeback with the Packers, and everybody thought he was going to make the team, and they didn't. And it ended up being pretty controversial because, I mean, Aaron Rodgers got hurt, and I think Vince Young could have played a little bit better than Matt Flynn did down the road, but with them having some solid seasons, I wouldn't say biggest bust of all time. I wish I could think of some people off the top of my head, but it's my brain's not allowing me right now. But I'm sure there's bigger busts right now in all sports and that are more bust than Vince Young. If he didn't have those good seasons with the Titans or solid seasons, maybe that is the case. But he had some okay seasons. Auburn with another question: who starts for Alabama at quarterback, assuming Florida State backup does not come in? I think he does, for the record. Is he really that much of a downgrade from AJ since he was more of a game manager type quarterback? Thoughts on Tony Brown getting arrested? Think this is a sign for more things to come, or do you think clean up his act? If Jacob Coker does not come to Alabama, I would say Alec Morris, but all reports are indicating that Jacob Coker is going to come to Alabama. And yes, I do think he's going to start. And what I find is ridiculous is reading all the Alabama boards that I've been a part of for years and years, message boards online. There is a select few that do not want Coker to come in and start, think he's going to be horrible, just because he's a 3-star athlete coming out of high school. Man, some people, when people are talking about they don't want a guy who had to be a backup quarterback, he couldn't beat out the starting quarterback at Florida State. What the frick? The guy, he came down to the wire. I've watched many interviews. Jimbo Fisher said it many times before the start of the season. It came down to the very last minute, gave Jameis Winston the edge, thought they could be a little better with him, but they even thought about splitting time between the two, and it wasn't an easy decision. So Jacob Coker battled the future Heisman winner down to the end of fall camp. And he battled the quarterback that led Florida State to a undefeated season in a national championship down to the wire. So this is a guy that obviously is very talented. Many NFL personnel scouts say this guy has potential first-round talent. I've watched tape on him. I've watched interviews. He's solid. He's solid. He needs some work, but he has all the abilities in the world. He's, I think, a little bit more physically gifted than AJ was. Definitely. Taller, more thick, can run better. He's solid. Has a huge arm. And how fitting would it be once AJ left to go to Alabama from St. Paul's? Jacob Coker, I say obviously a St. Paul's graduate, stepped in senior season and replaced AJ there the next season. How fitting would it be for him to replace AJ at Alabama? And what people don't understand the reason he wasn't highly recruited coming out of high school. The guy ran a triple option offense, a wing T offense at St. Paul's his senior season, and you're not going to get many looks out of that offense. And just based off of his raw talent alone, Florida State offered him a scholarship, and I believe Alabama offered him a scholarship late, but he just felt more comfortable at Florida State at the time. And he grew up an Alabama fan, so that's a big thing. I obviously think he will come to Alabama. I've been saying this for months and months and months before this really even became a huge thing. It has made all the sense in the world, and people, I just flat out, people that completely disregard Jacob Coker as somebody that they don't want, I believe is ignorant. I don't use that word often. I hate that word, but that's the word for them there. Is he really? I don't think he. Like I said, I don't think he's much of a downgrade. Yes, it will be kind of difficult getting into the groove of things. I mean, AJ obviously had 4 years of chemistry between the players. That could be a little factor there. But people saying that, oh my gosh, he won't have the spring practice to be able to learn the offense. Can't tell me at Florida State he's not going to have a copy of the playbook. He's not going to talk to the coaches, etc., etc. He will be learning the offense, even though he's not at Alabama. If you don't think that, you got to think a little bit more, man. So I don't think that's going to be as big of an issue as people think. Yeah, I mean, it would benefit him being at spring practice with the players, obviously. But the argument that he won't be able to learn the offense, he'll have a copy of the playbook. Don't fret over that. And then the Tony Brown question. I mean, yeah, that's obviously disappointing. I mean, he gets on campus, a 5-star cornerback, and one of the biggest needs we meet, the biggest position needs we had, and he gets arrested. But it wasn't, I mean, yes, getting arrested is a bad thing, but it wasn't the worst thing. Not was a felony. He's going to be okay. Resisting arrest and doing something to a police officer wasn't the worst thing, but obviously it's not the best thing. From what I've seen, Nick Saban said Tony Brown's a great kid, just was in a bad place at a bad time. But I mean, obviously that'll prove itself either right or wrong over time, so we'll have to see. But from what I've seen, I've watched a couple of interviews. He seems like a good kid. He comes from a great family, a very supportive family. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe it could have been the case that he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I mean, obviously that's not a great way to start off your career. But we'll just have to see on that. Obviously he's a talented player, and that would be very, very hurtful for a guy like him at a position of need to come in and just screw his career up. Which I don't think he will. I think it's a one-time thing, but we'll have to see. DJ Hayes, 2011 Alabama Crimson Tide versus 1988 Miami Hurricanes. What's your prediction? I can't off the top of my head think who's on the 88 Miami Hurricane team. Let me look that up real quick. I mean, obviously Miami has had some of the most talented teams that ever come throughout college football. And let me look real quick at who they had on their team, because man, if you look at the NFL now, Miami has the best. Let's see. This is difficult. That's funny. Dennis Erickson was the backup quarterback that season. He was the head coach of Arizona State before he got fired. I'm not sure where he's at now. From what I'm looking at, it's a pretty tough team to beat. And yeah, Miami. I think Miami wins this one pretty big. Only loss in the year was to Notre Dame. They beat number 1 Florida State the first game of the season, 31-0. Yeah, I'm gonna go Miami. Yeah, Miami in that one. I don't know how to score. I'm gonna make this real quick. Don't want to bring this on drag this long anymore. But I don't think it's the better team, but I really do believe the 2010 Alabama team that went 10-3 was the most talented team out of all. Don't know what happened to them, but I really believe that, even though it's the worst record that Alabama's had since the 2007 season, I still think they had the most talented players on the team by far. But yeah, the 11 team was good, but I still believe 88 Miami team would win. Auburn, ex-Auburn. Now with 4 teams making it into the playoffs, do you think a 2-loss SEC champion has a good shot at making it in? Yeah, I think so. I think the SEC championship champion will always get consideration too. I mean, obviously, if you have some undefeated teams and one-loss teams from big-time conferences, there will be some some controversy there. But I think for the most part, an SEC champion, unless it's some crazy year where the SEC champion has 3, maybe 4 losses, I think the SEC champion is usually a pretty easy shoe-in for the playoff, unless there's a 2-loss SEC champion and 4 other uh, undefeateds, or maybe one-loss team. So I think most part they'll have a good shot. Another question for DJ Hayes: did you have Georgia? Did hold on? I think you missed a word. Did you? I think it meant did you know Georgia has 2 SEC championships and not 1, and more appearances than any other team from 2000 to now? And he says Auburn sucks. I knew they had 2 SEC champions, but I didn't really know they had more appearances than any team from 2000 to now. I did not know that. Razorback 1995. Who is your favorite person in Breaking Bad? Oh man, that's a good one. Man, let me think. Probably Jesse. Yeah, definitely Jesse. He's funny. He's really funny. I don't. Walt Jr. isn't my favorite character, but I see all the memes online about let's cook breakfast, and it has a picture of Walt Jr. That's hilarious. All the Walt Jr. breakfast uh, memes and pictures are hilarious. I mean, I didn't really. I mean, I noticed a lot of his scenes had to deal with breakfast, and he obviously liked breakfast, but I didn't really understand everything after I looked up some stuff after the show, after I finished the series, and all the Walt Jr. stuff. That's hilarious. Let's go Walt Jr. breakfast. Uh, but probably Jesse. I was really back and forth between Walt. Sometimes I love him. Sometimes I absolutely hate Walt. I hate Skylar. Gosh dang, I hate Skylar. I hate Marie too. Hank, all right. Skinny Pete and Badger are hilarious. I like Gus for the most part. Mike kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So, Jesse. Buffalo Bills fan 97. Do you think the Yankees will return to greatness in 2014 with the signings of Ellsbury, Beltran, McCann, and Tanaka? He said possibly Tanaka, but yeah, Tanaka signed with the Yankees. I think they have a shot if, and only if, they can stay healthy. And as in healthy, the core players that they have to play more than 75% of the games. Because they have a solid team, but a lot of the guys they brought in, Beltran, Ellsbury, they have, well, more than not, Ellsbury has been injured a good bit the last couple seasons. So that's a concern. Jeter's been hurt the last couple seasons. We don't know how it's going to be the third base position and second base position. Brian Roberts has been not had a healthy season, and who knows how long. Mark Teixeira also. When's the last time he played a full season? 5 years ago. So it all depends on the health. CC Sabathia should be good this season. I mean, if you haven't seen, he has lost a ton of weight, which is huge. The guy was over 300 pounds, I believe. So I think he'll be better. I mean, obviously the addition of Tanaka is solid. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, this will go from anywhere from being a Dice K project to a complete ace. So it's kind of, with a guy coming from Japan, even though he's absolutely lights out in Japan, it always is interesting to see how he transitions to the MLB game. He could be great. He could be a bust. For the Yankees, hopefully, he's an ace. For the Red Sox, hope he's a bust, but he looks good. And obviously, the Yankees, over 7 years of scouting him, they wouldn't offer him $150 million if they didn't really believe he can come in and play well. So, yeah. I think they'll be solid if they can stay healthy. If they go anywhere from playing 60 to 70% of their games, the core players, they'll be on the fence. But if they can stay healthy, I mean, that's a solid lineup, the rotation needs a little bit of work, but it's a lot better than it was, obviously, at the end of last season. And the Yankees always find a way to pull something out their butt. I mean, even with the team they had last year, they made a run at it at the end. So if that team from last year made a run, this team can make a run as well, definitely. Ex-Auburn with another question to Quill. I guess DeQuil Williams, JUCO prospect who is already enrolled on campus, has probably more hype than any receiver ever. He is 6'3", 220, and is legit 4'4". Most see him as more as a possession receiver, with Sammy and Ricardo mostly getting most of the deep balls. If you're a coach who does double Sammy or if you're a coach who do you double, Sammy or DeQuil? I think he will be here for only a year, but it'll be fun to watch him. Yeah, I've heard some good things about Williams. He's really solid, looks very solid. He's gonna be explosive in that offense. I mean, that's a really good receiver core. Sammy coach Ricardo Lewis, DeQuil Williams now. But right now it's kind of hard to say because you don't know how he's really going to transition into the college football game from going from JUCO to FBS. I mean, obviously, we've seen JUCO prospects last couple seasons excel at the level. So, I mean, he very well could come in and be the best receiver or one of the best receivers in the SEC. Always careful when I say the best. I always say one of the best. But I think he'll be solid. But as of right now, if I had to pick, I would say Sammy because I know a little bit more about Sammy. But it very well could end up being DeQuil Williams. And DJ Hayes says you were quite fond of Lou Holtz back in your S3 Tide days. Please explain. I don't remember what you're talking about actually. I remember in I didn't necessarily do a lot of webcam videos. I just had pictures on the screen. I had a lot of Lou Holtz pictures, but it's because Lou Holtz is funny. His accent is funny. His spit is funny. So it was just really a joke, and I had to have something on the screen. And I remember now. I had a picture of him on a video. It was a prediction video. He had a gun in his hand or something. It was hilarious. But Lou Holtz is, you can say whatever you want. He's hilarious. Not because he means to be. He's just listen to him. He's hilarious. Jackson Bear 1. Who do you think is a dark horse / underdog to win the Super Bowl next season? Ooh, that's tough to say. It's real tough to say without the draft and signings and everything going through free agency. But as it sits right now, with thinking through some predictions on signings and the draft, I would have to say the Houston Texans. That's the first team that popped in my head because I really believe, as bad as they did this season, they're a quarterback away from being a solid team. I really do think they are. They have talent all over the field. I mean, they have a good front seven, okay back seven on defense, a solid offensive line. They could use some help there, but not horrible. A potential one of the best running backs in the NFL, Arian Foster, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Andre Johnson added DeAndre Hopkins, who had an okay season. He tore up the Titans in the game early on, so they have pieces. I mean, their quarterback position was just garbage last year. If they can get a Teddy Bridgewater, even a Johnny Manziel, I would obviously prefer Teddy Bridgewater, even though I think Johnny Manziel is going to be solid in the league. They can get a quarterback, man, I think they're going to go right back to being one of the best teams in the AFC. So I think I would say the Texans. But I wanted to say this real quick, though. If I'm the Texans, I know this might be completely off the wall proposal, and it's 99% I'm sure won't happen. But wouldn't it be crazy or an amazing thing to do if I'm the Texans right now? The Rams, the number 2 pick, are probably going to try to trade down, which is kind of understandable because they need a tackle when they can wait to the 6th, 7th, 8th pick to get a tackle. That's solid. So if I'm the Texans, I'd do absolutely whatever I can to get that number 2 pick. I don't care if I have to trade my 2nd round pick for this year. I would trade 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and then my next 2 first rounders and get that 2nd pick. Because usually when this teams trade up, they trade their 1st round picks too. So I would leave St. Louis without a second. They already have another 1st round pick, so St. Louis has 2 this year. But that would give St. Louis pretty much a 1st round draft pick with a 30th pick or 33rd pick. So that's pretty much a 1st rounder there. But they would leave them without a 2nd first rounder because obviously the Texans wouldn't have another 1st rounder to trade away. They wouldn't trade them the 1st overall pick, the 2nd overall pick. So they'll give them a couple picks for the next 2 years, leave it at that, and get that 2nd pick and get Jadeveon Clowney. Just think about that. Bring in Teddy Bridgewater to play quarterback. Bring in Jadeveon Clowney to play on the other side of J.J. Watt. My God, that team would be... Frick, that'd be a good team. So no, that's off the wall and won't happen. But I would trade, like I said, second, third, fourth from this season, and the first for the next 2 seasons to get Clowney and Bridgewater. Well, couldn't think. All right, so Texans are my dark horse. Matthew Bandusky asks, I think this is the first time Matthew's ever asked a question, so welcome to the series. Which 3 teams will negatively be affected from players graduating or declaring for the draft? And do you think the Big Ten will begin to rebound as a conference this season? 3 teams. LSU. They had 2 quarter wide receivers leave. Zach Mettenberger left. Ego Ferguson left. Some players on defense, can't remember who all, but a lot on LSU's team is gone. They're a team that's going to lose a lot. Texas A&M, obviously, my God. Jake Matthews, Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans, their running back, I can't think of his name. He's gone as well. Ben Molina, he's gone. He graduated. So my God, that's a ton off the team right there. I don't even know who all left on defense. I know that nobody really left early on defense, but I'm sure they have some graduating seniors on defense. So LSU and A&M. Let me think out of the SEC real quick. You could probably throw Alabama in there this season too, but I don't think it's that big of a factor. With possibly Jacob Coker coming in. So LSU, A&M have right now, and outside of the SEC. I know Oregon State, actually, they weren't solid. They weren't a good team. They weren't a great team last season. They lost a few big pieces, a good D end, a good wide receiver in Brandon Cook. So they lost a good bit there. But I wouldn't necessarily think of them right now. UCLA brings back the quarterback. Oregon brings back the quarterback. Oh, man. That's a tough question. I can't really think off the top of my head. I guess. Oh, and this is probably off the radar completely, but Fresno State, a team that played well last season, almost broke the BCS. They lost their 2 biggest players in the past 10 years, Derek Carr and their best wide receiver, Devontae Adams. They're both gone, so they're going to completely fall off the map, I believe. So that was way off the wall, and I'm just trying to think on top of my head. But those are 3 teams: A&M, LSU, Fresno State. All right, Dalton Sports Fan asks, number 1, will Nick Saban retire Crimson Tide or head of the NFL at any coaching position? I do not believe he will leave for the NFL. I believe his only possibility of leaving Alabama was to Texas. It didn't happen. I think honestly the only reason it didn't happen because it's so late in his career. He doesn't want to restart at other programs. So I think it's just at the stage in his career where he's settled and he just doesn't have, I wouldn't say the energy, but the desire to go rebuild somewhere else because he knows his coaching days are over. So I do honestly, without the Crimson glasses on, believe he'll retire an Alabama Crimson Tide. Number 2, what do you think about college football and having the playoff system this upcoming season? I think I've talked about this a little bit before. I like the playoff system. I think it's a solid idea. But the thing I hate is the playoff committee. Why is it necessary? That just brings the possibility of so many sketchiness ideas and behind the doors discussions going on about what team brings the more money. I like this team more. I mean, there's current athletic directors on the playoff committee. You can't tell me they won't. If their team is on the bubble, they're not going to be fighting for that team. It's stupid. Why not? I mean, the BCS, yeah, obviously that you saw teams getting left out, but I would not mind having the BCS select the 4 teams. I mean, why not? I mean, it was a solid. It usually gave you the right scenario. I mean, I didn't hate the BCS like everybody else. Well, most people did, but I just hate the playoff committee. That's what I hate. Have it decided by a poll, by something, not by 16 people in a back room discussing things that we are not aware of. Yeah, they say they have guidelines, but how do we know they're abiding by those guidelines? If you have number 4, the team on the bubble, just consider everything else out the window. You have 2 teams that need to decide the 4th spot. Let's see. let me say a single team. Let's say my South Alabama Jaguars. Say they're from the Sun Belt. Yeah, no, not a great conference. They go undefeated, win their conference. Possibly in the next couple seasons they can win their conference championship. That's an extra win. So that puts them at 13-0 going to a bowl game, whatever bowl game that is. Their 4 out of conference games they won was against number 1 Alabama, number 2 Oregon, and let's say a number 15 Virginia Tech, and a number 10, I don't know, Texas. They beat those 4 teams. They're out of conference schedule, so they have a legitimate claim to be able to make the playoff. But at number 5, or the other team out of the bubble is a 10-2. Give me a team, a 10-2 Florida. No, not Florida. Michigan. Michigan has a rabid fan base who's dying for a championship. So, do you pick a 10-2 Michigan, or from the Big Ten that will bring more money, or a 13-0 conference champion South Alabama Jaguars who has an absolutely outstanding out-of-conference resume? I mean, you can't tell me they're not going to pick Michigan because of money only. I mean, that's the scenarios I'm going to hate. I'm going to hate. Okay, so they got that off my chest. Do you have do you have a girlfriend, and if so, how long have you been with her? Yes, I have a girlfriend, and my God. 2.5 years, I think. A little bit over 2.5 years. Yeah, I think so. So yeah, 2.5 years. Baltimore Fan 52. What were the top 5 plays of college football this season? Whew. I'm not gonna rank them, but the Chris Davis, the kickoff return for Auburn, and then the Iron Bowl. The Nick Marshall to Ricardo Lewis, what do they call it? The miracle at Jordan Hare. You have that. Then the Taylor Martinez. Hey, it wasn't Taylor Martinez. The Nebraska Hail Mary. Who was it? That Tommy Kellogg III. He threw a Hail Mary the last second to beat Northwestern. What else? The Central Florida wide receiver catch, J.J. Horton to beat Temple. That was an amazing catch. And number 5, I don't feel like I'm leaving something off. Man, I'm leaving something off. I feel like I'm leaving a playoff from Johnny Manziel or something. Trying to think of the whole entire college football season off the top of my head. What play? I know Jarvis Landry had a really good catch. I don't know why that popped in my head. But why don't we just leave it at 4? I can't think. It's hard thinking of all these things, all these different sports, all these different games, all these different seasons in one brain at one time. So I'll leave it at 4 because I can't think of anything else. I'm sure I left something off. But if you know what I left off, let me know. Razorback 1995. What is your thoughts on Richard Sherman talking trash and about Crabtree after the NFC Championship? Whoa, my bad. What is your thoughts on Richard Sherman talking trash about Michael Crabtree after the NFC Championship? My bad. Honestly, I should have made a video on this because they got a lot of traffic, but I honestly didn't have a problem with it. I don't agree with people calling him a thug, etc., etc. That's retarded. The guy, I mean, you gotta think about it. You pretty much just got in a fight with somebody that you, the frick, a watch just went off. A guy you strongly dislike, or he said something very mad, something to you that made you really mad, or pretty much just got in a fight. 20 seconds later, 30 seconds later, somebody gets a camera in your face and starts to interview you. What are you going to do? You're going to be like, oh yeah, I had a fun time. I had a good game. I want to go shake Michael Crabtree's hand, but he shoved his hand in my face. No big deal. I'm okay with it. Congratulations on a good season. No, he's going to be, I mean, yeah, he could have toned it down a little bit, but he's not going to be, he's not a guy that's going to hide his emotion. You should know what you're going to get from Richard Sherman after he pretty much got in a fight. or a confrontation, I guess you can say. So I didn't have a problem with the guy. I don't care what anybody says. The guy graduated from Stanford. Yeah, everybody says, oh, that has nothing to do with what he does anywhere else. He graduated from Stanford. He's smart. He knows what he is doing. The guy does more charity work than some people do with huge contracts. Gotta remember, Richard Sherman is still on a $500,000 rookie contract as the best cornerback in the NFL as is today. He's on a rookie contract, $500,000, and you got guys making millions upon millions of dollars. He does more charity work than 90% of the league. The guy, I guess I don't know if you go so far to say he's a role model because you don't want everybody acting like that, but he plays with the emotions on his sleeves. He backs up his trash talk. That's just what he is. He's not a thug. Does he affect anybody? No. He provides entertainment. That's what he does, and I have no problem with it. I mean, it was fun to watch. Nobody sat there and said, "Ooh, change the channel." It was fun to watch, and without him making the interview, that would never have happened. So I like it. I like the energy from him. Daniel Perry. Who should the Eagles draft in order to be a serious playoff threat? I made my mock draft for the Eagles, and I have them picking Calvin Pryor, free safety out of Louisville. Eagles, if they can get a safety, they'll be solid. That's the biggest need, is safety. At that point, I think HaHa Clinton Dix will be out of the picture. Calvin Pryor, the next best safety, plug him in, be a lot more solid in the secondary. Buffalo Bills fan 97. Who was your favorite Titan and Red Sox player of all time? Titans player, as much as I don't care what you want to say about him, I really like Vince Young. He was one of the biggest reasons I became a diehard Titan fan. I would have to say Vince Young. I just loved watching him play. No matter what happened to him, no matter what he did, I just loved watching Vince Young play. And your favorite Red Sox player of all time? Of the recent era, I struggle between David Ortiz and Dustin Pedroia. Of the recent time, I really like Nomar Garciaparra, even though he wasn't on a championship team. Pedro Martinez was awesome. I like Manny Ramirez when they had the amazing 3-4 punch there with Ramirez and Ortiz. But all time, going back into the day, looking into Red Sox history, I'd probably have to say the guy on my wall right there, Ted Williams. Carl Yastrzemski, probably Ted Williams. He's pretty much the face of the Boston Red Sox history, is Ted Williams. So probably have to go with Teddy ball game. But a recent history struggle between Pedroia. As of right now, probably still have a struggle. I'd probably lean Pedroia because he's such an upbeat player and leader. So is Ortiz. He does it in a different fashion, but maybe a slight edge to Pedroia. But I love Ortiz as well. Cody Dodd. Do you see Alty, Tenpenny, or D Hart stepping up next year? I can see D being an excellent special teams weapon along with Landon Collins. I'm not sure. It'll be tough for Alty Tenpenny to get a lot of playing time. I think he can be a solid back. Maybe he's a guy that transfers, but I mean, he has potential. He does have potential, and I love to see him get on the field. But we're bringing in Bo Scarborough. He'll probably get playing time as a freshman. We saw Derrick Henry did. We still have Kenyon Drake, who was obviously saving his doghouse, and I think will be ready to step up next year. TJ Yeldon, obviously, he's probably the starter. That's 4 guys right there you have that's going to, 4 guys right there. It's going to be tough to get past, but Alty Tenpenny's probably right behind them, and we've seen 5, maybe even 5, 6 backs the last couple seasons get touches, and a good amount of touches. So if he plays, he can step up. I think D Hart's going to end up having to change positions. He's tried playing a little bit of corner. Wouldn't surprise me if he'd stuck at corner. I mean, he's a talented athlete, very talented. There's actually been rumors of him, though, transferring to UCF. I'm not sure if that's complete speculation or not, but that's a possibility. But I hope he stays on the team. He is a good special teams player. Really is. He could be a potential really good returner. He was a good, if you don't remember correctly, he was a solid returner before Christian Jones, before he got injured and Christian Jones stepped in then. So he's a solid special teams player, and he could prove a great role in this team. I think and go on and be a solid contributor somewhere in the NFL. Not at running back, maybe at running back. I mean, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. I mean, he could come in and be a solid running back next year. But I think for him to get in the field center, he needs to play probably special teams primarily. and cornerback or secondary somewhere. But he has the talent, has the speed, has the athleticism to be an NFL caliber player. He really does. DJ Hayes, do you think AJ will choke in the NFL? Be realistic. I don't honestly think AJ is going to be anything special where he starts someday. It wouldn't really surprise me, but would he be anything special? I don't know. I think he could be an average quarterback. I don't think he'll be anything better than average. If he was anything better than average, it would surprise me. Obviously, I'd love for him to be more than average. But if he was a career backup, I wouldn't be surprised. So with AJ, you really don't know, but I just don't expect him to be anything solid. I don't expect him to be horrible, like a Brandon Whedon horrible, but I expect him to be not great, but not horrible either, average. Spencer Rigsby, what are your thoughts on Derek Mason being hired at Vanderbilt? I think he'll be a solid guy. I mean, another guy from Vanderbilt. We've seen the Vanderbilt coaching tree from David Shaw to Jim Harbaugh. Many guys, and there's a lot I'm forgetting. I saw a picture of it the other day, the Stanford coaching tree, and there's so many coaches under the Jim Harbaugh coaching staff that's head coaches somewhere now, whether it be NFL or college. It's ridiculous. And so if he proves to be just like those other guys, he'll be solid. I think he's a good hire. It sucks because a lot of the recruits are selling ships, so immediately it'll be kind of difficult. But I think he'll keep the upbeat personality there at Vanderbilt. I think it will kind of dwindle their uprise as a program, but I don't think they'll go completely falling down. We'll have to see how he does. But I think he's a good defensive-minded guy, obviously. Has experience under some great coaches. He'll be okay over time. He'll be a solid recruiter. Maybe he'll have to start next year, see how he does down the stretch here with a week left to go before signing day. But I think he'll ultimately be an okay hire, a good hire at that. But we'll have to see if he has the potential to bring Vanderbilt to the next level. Does he have the potential to keep him as a good, average a good team? I think so. We'll have to see if he can take that next level. Because, I mean, we don't know. He's an unproven head coach, but he's a proven coordinator. DJ Hayes, in a debate with someone, need your input. Nick Marshall for Heisman, yes or no, and why? No, I don't think so, because he doesn't touch the ball enough, I don't think so, to be a Heisman winner. I mean, yeah, he has talent. I mean, he does. I think, honestly, he might have the strongest arm in all of college football. If you haven't seen, obviously he's not the most accurate quarterback by any stretch of the mean, but I've watched some tape of him back. I keep this one particular play in my mind. When he was at this JUCO, I believe it's in Kansas, on the run. He hit a guy from the 20-yard line. This is on the run. On the 20 to the opposite 30. That is a 70-yard pass? I'm not sure. 20 to 10. 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 to 40, 40. No, I'm wrong. It was from the 20 to the 10. Whatever. I remember it was a 70-yard pass. I forget what the yards was, but it was a 70-yard pass on the run, on stride. He just has a really strong arm, and he can run. He can operate that offense now for a year more of experience, but I just don't think I don't see him in that offense as a quarterback putting up the numbers of a Cam Newton with giving him the chance to win a Heisman. I don't think so. I think a running back like Cameron Artis-Payne or a Rock Thomas will step up next season, and or maybe both, or even a Corey Grant can split the time, and they'll get a bulk of the carries and have another great offensive season for Auburn. Speaking of Auburn, we have ex-Auburn asking another question. Do you find it shocking that Auburn has more SEC championships than any other SEC team in the last 10 seasons, which was 04, 2010, and 13. Alabama has 2, LSU 2, Florida 2, Georgia 1. And you should do a recruiting video after signing day. I will do that. Man, just hit me. I will do a recruiting video probably the day I get home from signing day. But last season I liked it because I was making videos every time a big prospect committed somewhere. And I have school on Wednesdays. Wow. I have school 3 days, 5 days, what the frick, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I usually just take off on signing day. But in college, even when you go 3 days a week, you can't take off. So that sucks. I'll miss signing day. But I will come on with a video after signing day, the time I get home. So I will. But to answer your other question, no, it doesn't it's not shocking to me. I mean, Auburn's a solid program. Whatever, no matter what anybody else wants to say, prestigious, historic, solid, a huge fan base, solid SEC team, and it doesn't surprise me. But it does surprise me that it shows how balanced the SEC really is. Not like at one time, but over time, you can show anybody can step up and win. Because I mean, that's 10 years, and the team that leads the conference in championships is Auburn with only 3. So that's pretty interesting there. So Jack Moore, what do you think about Richard Sherman going off at the end of the NFC Championship game? I already talked about that in another comment, but like I said, didn't have a problem with it. The guy plays with his emotions on his sleeves. They interviewed him 30 seconds after a confrontation. He's going to be mad. That's how he plays. He's not a thug. He does charity work with his $500K contract. He's a good guy off the field. And I mean, he talks trash. It's his style of play. Doesn't make him a bad guy. I mean, is he getting arrested for it? No. It's just a solid play, and he backs it up. Best corner in the league. Don't have any problem with it whatsoever. Casey Tyler, if they played next week, who do you think would win? The 2013-14 Alabama Crimson Tide or the 2013-2014 Florida State Seminoles? I think obviously Florida State would win with the way Alabama played in the Oklahoma game. Secondary, my God, Jameis Winston would pick that team apart right now. Those wide receivers, I think the biggest thing is it's not so much the quarterback, even though Jameis Winston obviously is awesome. It's been, to me, seems like the teams with the better wide receivers, the more physical wide receivers, is what really has been able to dominate Alabama in their secondary. So, Kelvin Benjamin and all their receivers, my God, that'd be a nightmare for Alabama's secondary. So, I mean, obviously, I think they'd be prepared for this game, and obviously they'd be more, whatever you want to call it, hyped up for the national championship. But I still think Florida State would win. Alabama wouldn't play as bad as they did in the Oklahoma game, but Florida State will still win, maybe by two touchdowns or more. But I'd probably say like a 10-point game. Also, another question, and the final question from Casey Tyler: who was your favorite superhero and supervillain, and why are those your favorites? Ooh, Superman, probably. No, yeah, Superman is probably my favorite superhero just because he can do whatever he wants. Awesome. And supervillain, oh, I can't even think of many supervillains off the top of my head. I'm drawing a blank. Let me look something up real quick. Let me get a list of supervillains because I'm not good at thinking of these things off the top of my head. Let's see. Top 10 supervillains of all time. Maybe it'll spark my memory here. Who the frick is this guy? I hate these stupid websites. I like the Green Goblin. I don't know why it popped in my head. I like the Green Goblin. He was cool. I might have to stick with the Green Goblin. I don't know why. I'm just drawing a blank. I'm drawing a blank here. But I'll stick with the Green Goblin. Obviously, for some reason, he's the only one that comes to my head right now that I like at all. So he has to have some type of importance in my supervillain head. So I'll keep it that, guys. But I hope you enjoyed. Please leave a like if you did. Big hit that like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already for more of these Friday questions and answers videos. And like I said earlier on in the video, let me know what you thought about my progress workout fitness type series I could do once a week. If you want to see that, let me know. If you don't want to see that, let me know, and I won't do it. But follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/SRERTR. And as always, guys, the rolls I go Sox and go Titans to you. Be sure to leave a question in the comment section below for episode 50. Catch you next Friday. Peace.